the girls around.
That was stupid. No, not you, my laugh.
That was stupid.
No, it was my Hi everyone, welcome back to the Apartment 6 podcast. I'm Jess.
Yo, yiggity, yo. I'm Marissa.
I'm making you keep that in. So we
Gotta
want to
switch it up.
Good, love that. Before we get into our roses and thorns, do we want to talk about how we're feeling today?
Tired.
We're feeling so tired. We had a magnificent
That would be
day.
funny if we got marks.
Yeah, we had a magnificent day at a vineyard yesterday, but apparently we can't hang at all because we're so tired.
You know what I think it was? Like, the sun was a huge part of it,
Yeah.
like being outdoors all day in the sun, but also just like doing sort of like an all-day activity was something that neither of us have done in like a long time. Like having one designated activity that like you're doing all day long. It's just, it's a different sensation than just like popping out to the grocery store or like popping out to get a coffee or whatever. It's like a big ordeal. So yeah.
Yeah, we just like came home so exhausted last night, and like I had jalapeno kettle chips for dinner and then like went to bed.
I had to like sit in my room with the lights off and the covers over my head for like 45 minutes.
Did you really sit with the covers over your head?
Yeah. I needed like total darkness to like reset my whole body.
It was so silly. Like we had like 2 glasses of wine. But then like it was just like the fact that like
it was so good.
Like I never even had coffee yesterday. Like I just like went into like wine, and then like we got ice cream after, and then like we were in the sun all day.
Yeah.
It was just like I was just exhausted.
But yeah, if anyone in like the Boston, Mass area is like looking for something fun to do like that's like really safe and a lot of precautions are taken. We went to this place called Neshoba Valley Winery. So highly recommend it if you're looking for something like that to like feel like you really did, a fun summer activity, but they took so many precautions. It was super safe.
Yeah, you signed up to go to the bathroom on your phone, and then they would tell you when it was your turn, and you would go into a single stall.
Yeah, and like they took our temperature. They brought the food to us. Like, yeah, it was really good. So highly recommend.
Yeah, it was delicious too. We both got wine slushies.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like drinking juice.
It was
like
so
I had to
good.
like stop myself from like sucking it down because it was so refreshing. That's why I ordered a bottle of water, because I was like I'm like thirsty, and I clearly want to be like sipping on something, but I kept like I was like chugging it like it was juice because it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got a bottle of peach wine and split it amongst the 4 of us, and that was delicious.
Yeah, they do fruit brilliantly.
They do. And we got food, and that was really good. So 10 out of 10, do recommend. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting amongst like peaches. Like it's like peach trees
scenic.
all around.
Yeah.
It was sweet. All right. I think now we can jump into our roses and thorns.
Okay.
What's your thorn?
My thorn is that our president, which it always pains me to say our president, Trump, has said that he is going to ban TikTok, which hurts my heart.
Hasn't he been saying
deeply.
This though?
I remember there being some drama before with it where it was like people thought it was possible that it was going to happen, but then it didn't. But I looked up an article, and it does seem kind of more likely this time. There's a quote from him that says, "As far as TikTok is concerned, we're banning them from the United States."
Oh.
Then he said, "I have that authority. I can do it with an executive order." Like, I don't know if he's just like flexing, but it does scare me that like he could. And then I'd be really sad because I'm really relying on TikTok right now.
What is his like, why does he want to ban it? Is it because of the data thing?
It has something to do with it being owned by China.
Yeah.
And like he wants to just apparently keep depreciating our relationship with China, which I can't really speak on because I don't know much about politics, but yeah, something to do with that, our relationship with China. And then I guess Microsoft said that they were in talks to buy it for like the US version of it, and I don't know if that's happening, but gosh, it's just like, why can't we have something good without it being threatened to be taken away?
You're right.
He's a big meanie.
Yeah.
And he can't take away my sweet, sweet videos of babies.
I know. He just sucks. Like, remember when he wanted to ban Twitter, though?
Yes.
He was like, well, I can do that with an executive order.
Yeah.
And it's like, my dude, don't you have more important things to focus on? Like, shouldn't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Everybody say a prayer for TikTok. We need it.
Will do.
It's too good for this world. What is your thorn?
I don't have like a solid thorn. I feel like, this week was fine. There was nothing like thorny about it necessarily. I'm obviously feeling really tired right now, so that's like, I guess, something I could throw in the ring. But maybe that's kind of what I thought it would be. But I think that like my thorn really is just like overall fatigue as the summer season is, now we're in August and it's starting to wind down, and just realizing that there's no hope in sight. Like,
I know.
This is so, like, I don't know what to say. I guess I think just realizing that we have now gone through two whole well, we haven't finished summer, but we have almost gone through two whole seasons of spring and summer, and just feeling like the numbers in Massachusetts are starting to go up again. Not by a ton, but like, I mean, I shouldn't say not by a ton because like these are people's lives we're talking about, but like it's not nearly as bad as it was, a few months ago. But it's disheartening to see other countries returning to normal and feeling like we're not, because we're not all on the same page and we're not unified. And I just feel a growing sense of like fatigue and anger and just like disheartenment over the whole situation, because I feel like we all are on the same page with like, we want things to go back to normal. For some people that's like, well, I don't even believe this is a thing. Like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And like, I'm not going to wear a mask. And that's their version of wanting to go back to normal, quote. Mm-hmm. And I think like when I say go back to normal, I mean with all the knowledge that we now have. Like, I'm not saying like let's go back to normal and be idiots, but I'm saying like I like day to day transportation and going to work and like just things like that. It's like I would like to have that back, and I think we're all on the same page with wanting that back, and yet we are not all on the same page with how to do that, and we don't have a leader who is helping us get on that same page.
Yeah.
There are governors who are, some of them, doing a great job. Some of them are not. And looking at you, Florida, looking at you, Georgia. Yeah. But I think that would all be different if we had a different leader.
Yeah.
Of the federal government. I think that it just sucks, and I feel like we are all getting gypped because of him and because of his administration, and I think that it's like a goddamn shame, because we're just losing time at this point, and like people's kids are losing time. They're not getting to do certain things. They're not getting to start preschool. They're not getting to go to their mommy and me swim classes. They're not getting to and I get that all of that stuff might seem, well, not going to school, but I get that it might seem trivial. Like I saw this post from a YouTuber I watch, Raw Beauty Christie, and she's pregnant, and she's been trying to get pregnant for 15 years, and she just like she finally got pregnant, and she wrote on Twitter, and she was like, man, I really wish I could like be pregnant in public.
Yeah.
And like I wish I could experience like having a baby shower.
Just do the damn thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wish I could experience like choosing like my hospital and preparing for labor and delivery, but not preparing for like the worst case scenario, which is like they won't let my husband in, or they won't let my family in, or, and it's just like when I think about that, like those are such things that we took for granted before, and I hope that we never do again. And it's just sad. And I get that there are other things going on in the world, and that there are other people's lives who are even more affected by this, but it's just disheartening to feel like we're not moving, like this only divided us more, and we're not moving forward as like a union. We're moving forward as like individuals, and that really makes me upset. And I think I've just taken some time to reflect on that again this week.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot sort of related to that about the election, and how this is, you know, like one of the most important elections of our lifetimes, and or one of the most like a lot is riding on this election. It's not just like, oh, this politician versus this politician.
People's lives rely on this.
People's safety. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that this election is at a really wacky time and uncertain time. So that makes me really nervous. Yeah. That people like already it's an issue that not enough people get out and vote, point blank. Yeah. And now it's like things are more complicated because people might like forget to apply for their mail-in ballots, or they might have trouble receiving them, or they might send them too late and then they don't get counted, or like Trump's going to make a big hullabaloo about it. He already threatened to like extend the election or whatever the hell he said. Yeah. He wants to delay it. Yeah. All that stuff just makes me nervous. So
yeah, I mean, the rhetoric out there is
look up the dates.
Yeah. Yeah, the rhetoric out there right now is sort of like he's telling people, oh, there's going to be so much voter fraud with these ballots, it's not even worth it. And it's like, it is worth it. God. There's no reason why.
Well, you know what? I hope that the Trump supporters listen to him saying it's not worth it and they don't vote.
This whole thing, I can't imagine a more anxious time that we'll experience in our lives. And God, I hope so. I hope this is the worst. I really hope that this is like the most anxiety inducing, terrible administration. Yeah. Terrible time in history time. Like, I hope that we look back on this and are like, remember those days? Because that's all I can hope for, is that there is another side to this, that like we'll get to the other side and be able to look back and be like, yeah, that fucking sucked. But like, but in the meantime, it bothers me to no end that in the meantime, people's quality of lives and safety are going down the drain, and it's not affecting me in that way. This isn't life or death for me personally, but we should be treating it like it is, because it is for some people. Like, whether you know them or not, whether you can physically see it or not, it is a thing. And it's just like, yeah. Okay, so so what's your rose?
Well, tee-hee, my rose is that I bought some paint.
Yeah.
In juxtaposition to like
happier times.
Yes. Like, after talking about like how bleak the state of the world is, it's like, but at least I bought some paint this
There's
week.
A reason we have to end with roses, you know? Because imagine, like, I feel like our whole podcast would just end after our thorns if we were like the whole state of the world, and then we'd be like, you know what else is there to even fucking talk about? We would just stop.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are trying to figure out how to channel the like anxiety and uncertainty and just like frustration with how things are going on. And for me, that's been in trying to like find different creative outlets. Like, I just, at the beginning, if you guys recall, I was into macrame, which was really fun.
Wow, that seems like so long ago though.
Yeah, but the thing about macrame as a craft is like, it's a lot of work to just like do it for fun, and then like, whoa, loud bang above us.
Per usual.
It's a lot of work to just like do it for fun and then just like put it in the closet and put it away. So like, if you're not actually making it for a purpose, like, oh, I have this space on the wall I am making this for, it's not really like a casual craft like that. So then after that, I tried to like get back into drawing more and stuff like that. And then now I've transitioned to wanting to get into acrylic painting. So we went to Blick and I got some paints and some brushes and the little doodad you mix the paint on, some canvases. And yeah, that's my latest creative endeavor.
I love that.
Yeah. What is your Rose?
You know, mine was going to be going to the winery yesterday just because it was such a great day. But then I feel like we talked about it. So I'm going to change mine and say that I found shorts that fit my thighs. Like, because hearing you talk about paint and just being like, that was a win for this week. I was like, what has been a win? Like, not something that I just enjoyed doing. Like, of course, seeing our friends and getting to go to the winery and having it be like a safe and fun experience that like gave me hope. Like that is a great time and a great memory. But like a win for this week was just that like I got some shorts that fit my body nicely, and like I have thicker thighs, and if I want to get shorts that sort of like fit baggily, or like put it this way, mom jeans never work on me because they might fit me great in like the waist and everything, but then they're like tighter on my thighs. Like things don't like I can't wear like the whole boyfriend jean trend without getting the jeans too big so that they're actually baggy in my thighs. And this is like also an issue with shorts, but I found like I got like 3 pairs of shorts this week. Just that just like fit well. And like make me feel good, and that I'm excited to wear, and that I think I'll be really excited to like see in my little summer bin next summer too. And that's always like been a problem for me, is like finding shorts. And so a lot of times I just don't. I'll like buy like some athletic wear shorts and sort of live in those in the summer, and then I'll buy, you know, dresses and I'll live in those for work when I normally would be going to work. So I just like took the time to like read some reviews, you know, not get too caught up in like sizing, not get too caught up in like, oh, well, it looks like this on the model, but like it won't look like that on me. Like just trying things out. Like I've just bought some things online and had some wins. And so I'm just happy about it, because I'm like, whoa, this is a new era for me in shorts.
For my relationship you and you thighs.
My relationship with shorts has changed this week, everyone.
Yay.
Now we're going to actually do our voice memo segment that we haven't done in weeks.
Yep.
This segment is really fun. And if you're newer, if you haven't listened to our episodes before, the last like 2 or 3, we have like a voice memo segment because our whole podcast started as like a sort of an inside joke where we would send each other voice memos back and forth in place of like sending texts during the time that we were living at home after college, and also like when we've gone on trips or something in the past. And we have like 50 or something voice memos with all of our inner secrets.
Yeah.
And so we try to, when we can, do a voice memo segment where we play a voice memo. We surprise each other. So today I'm surprising Marissa with a voice memo of her talking, and then she's going to tell me what was going on. So here it is. It's biggity back.
You'd ask me how texting enhances or doesn't enhance like getting back into it the next time we see each other. And again, I think that's a really interesting question to ask. I feel like it enhances it for me because I just, you know, I'm a Gemini, I'm witty, I'm intelligent, but I do sometimes have trouble communicating. Like, you know this, like, I don't know, sometimes it's hard for me to like reach through all the muddles in my brain and like pick out something to say. So I think that texting in between gives me all of this like free material to work with, so that like obviously like we'll say like how are you and whatever, how was your week, just general questions like that, or we did. I say like, oh, this is what we do all the time, as if it's been like, you know, 10 dates or something. But yeah, yesterday like we asked like general I'm a Gemini. I'm witty. I'm intelligent.
Obviously, that was like that was ultimately what led
That's
me
funny.
to choose that, because I loved that's how you, like, you were kind of like struggling to find the words to explain why it was helpful for you, and then you just like were like, well, you know what, I'm a Gemini, I'm witty, I'm intelligent. I can talk. It's just that sometimes I need material, and I just liked it, and I also felt like
That's funny.
now during quarantine, well, all we're really getting to do is text and form relationships over text. And then if it seems like it's fruitful enough over text, you might meet up with someone in person, do a socially distanced date. And so I also felt like it was just like topical to talk about like forming relationships over text. And also the fact that you were like, you know me, like, you know that, and we're about to do the 36 questions for this episode. And the person who introduced me to the 36 questions, he was asking me like, oh, do you, like, when you do it for the podcast, do you guys think you're going to learn anything about each other? And I was like, I don't know. I feel like I know everything. I was like, yeah, I feel like I know everything about Marissa and she knows everything about me. So you being like, oh, you know me. And like, I don't know. There was just a lot of things that I thought were good with that voice memo. But do you remember the thought behind it?
I'm guessing that it was the person with whom I had my first relationship.
With whom?
That was the most like casual I've ever used the phrase with whom. Yeah. I think it was him, and I think you must have asked me because we lived kind of far away from each other. We lived basically on opposite sides of Boston. We didn't see each other too often. Like it was like once a week at most. And I think you must have asked me, like, does it help to text a lot in between? And I still totally agree with what I said, because like not only does it help to just like continue the flow, like I couldn't imagine like seeing someone and then like the only thing you say in between the next time you see them is just making the plan. Like, could you imagine that? Like, you go on a date with somebody and then like the next day you say, that was fun, want to do it again next Saturday? And they say yes, and then you don't say anything till
that is
Saturday.
weird.
Yeah, it just like, it helps to like keep the connection going. And it also helps, this is what I said in the memo, it helps because like as someone who is a really good communicator written like over text but not so much in person, it helps me to like have that literal like guide to look back on of conversations we've had where I'm like, oh, I could like bring this up as a conversation point. Like if I asked them like a few days ago what they were doing and they said, oh, I'm going to this coffee shop, then next time I see them I could say, oh, did you end up liking the coffee shop?
Yeah.
Or like whatever.
It's so funny because in the voice memo, when you keep going on, you give the example of like, oh, if they say that they had like a tough day at work, I could be like, oh, you mentioned that was a tough day. Like, what made it tough? So you even like gave me like an example in the voice memo too.
Yeah, I mean, I still totally feel that way. But it's funny because I have also had to grapple with how much I enjoy texting someone, because part of me likes that too much and relies on that too much. So I'll like form a really strong connection over text, but then it's harder in person because I have all these like expectations, and you like build up certain like banter and like inside jokes and like ways of speaking that might not translate well in person.
Yeah.
So that's something I've had to work on. But yeah, the Gemini thing is funny. I always see that Geminis are like good communicators when they're described and stuff, and I don't necessarily feel like I'm a good communicator in general, but I think I'm good at like writing out how I feel.
Why do you say that you don't think you're a good communicator?
Because I don't think I'm always willing to do it.
Okay.
Like, I think maybe it's that I'm a good communicator, but it's not always easy to.
Okay. Because I feel like when, like, or at least like when we communicate, I feel like we always, like, we have like, I keep using the word fruitful lately. It's kind of annoying me, but it's
fruitful.
It's very topical lately. Like, so I feel like when we communicate, we have fruitful communications. We have like productive communications. But I get what you're saying, that it might you're slow to communicate. Like
I need a push.
Yeah, like you would rather stay in your head about it, and then if someone really pushes you, or if something was really bothering you, but you're sort of slow to that action, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, that's funny. It's always funny to hear voice memos from that time in my life when I was like going into my first relationship and everything was so bright and hunky-dory.
As we like to say, the times.
Pre-corona times, yes.
That was like really pre-corona times.
Yep.
That dates back to, that would have been like September, October 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Diggity darn.
Mm-hmm.
I also think the reason that, I mean, I might have asked you that, I don't remember exactly, but just based on that timeline might have been because the person that I was seeing at the time was not, like, we didn't really text in between things.
Yeah.
And it bothered me.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm someone who, like, you can, like, leave me be for a few days and I'm, like, totally fine. And, like, I'll leave you be if I don't have anything to say. Like, especially if I know that I'm going to see someone, then I feel, this is something I've realized more recently. If I know I have plans to see someone, I don't feel the need to be texting them. But if we don't have any plans yet and then we're not texting, I'm like, have they forgotten about me? Like, where do we stand? Mm-hmm. So I almost use it as, like, a mechanism to just, like, make sure that we're on the same page. But if I know that I'm going to see them, I assume that we are on the same page, or that we could get on the same page when I see them next. Mm-hmm. So I'm not like, but you tend to, like, when you are with someone, you tend to, like, text them every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or when you're starting to get to know someone, you text them every day.
Yeah. I just love texting.
Yeah.
I love, like, the, like, witty banter.
You love to put
witty
your covers over your head and,
block out the world and only,
you know why I keep saying witty banter?
Witty banter.
Why are you saying it like that?
Witty banter.
You didn't watch
witty banter.
What's the show that I watched? Too Hot to Handle?
Yeah.
No, wait, that's not what it is it?
Yeah. You did. It wasn't Love Island, right? It was Too Hot to Handle.
That was the name of that show?
Yeah.
It might as well have been like sexual tension without release,
with, like, accents.
Yeah, with accents. But there's this girl and she keeps talking about witty banter.
Yeah,
because she's from England, and
I watch a lot of British YouTubers. I think that's the only reason why. Okay. I'm also watching Married at First Sight Australia. So I don't know if they say witty banter, but they might. Anyway.
Witty banter. Anywho, so we're doing the 36 questions to get you to fall
The 36 questions.
That was crazy.
The questions for you.
That was pitchy. Me, not you.
We don't.
You're doing well.
The beginning, when were we recording when I said something and you laughed, and
said that was bad,
stupid,
or that was dumb, or whatever. But I was referring to me. 36 questions are the questions for you and me.
Yes.
Basically, the 36 questions are questions that you're supposed to do with a complete stranger, and by the end of it, you'll feel closer to them. You might even fall in love.
Yeah, it's like
New York Times.
It's like an intimacy thing.
Yeah, but we decided to do it because I recently did it with someone, and I was like, this was fun. I don't think I'd ever done it before. And then I was telling Marissa about it, and some of the questions were just, like, interesting. So I was like, oh, like, what would your answer be to, like, this one, whatever. And she was like, let's do this on the podcast.
Yeah, well, so I feel like the progression of the questions is, like, very intentional, and they're designed in a way to, like, get you in the beginning to do some just, like, fun fact kind of, like, random, just, like, more fun surface level questions, and then they start getting way more, like, intense and serious, and then they start getting very, like, relationship-y. Like, they start to be like, tell your partner what you value about them in a relationship, or like those types of stuff.
Yeah.
Or like, how do you think a relationship would work? Like, it gets very obviously, like, you can see where it's going in the end. But the first set I thought would be really fun because they're just, like, really interesting things. And you had said you weren't sure if we would learn anything new about each other, but I kind of feel like these sorts of questions are things that could be new because like they're so random that we never would have asked each other. Like we would never sit. So like the first one is, who would you want as a dinner guest? And like that's not something that we would ever just like
be like, hey Maris, can you come over here for a second? I just want to know, hey, who would you want for a dream dinner guest?
Exactly.
Yeah, I so we're gonna do set 1 today. Maybe we could start set 2. And I think the idea is that we will do all of them, but in different episodes. Maybe not back-to-back episodes. It kind of depends. Like, let us know if you like it.
And we might skip a couple because of the nature of our relationship. Like, we're not strangers, obviously. And
there are some that are very
to know
like
each other.
Yeah, there was one that's like, tell your life story in 4 minutes, and like 8 minutes for us to go back and forth on this podcast is well, a lot of time. It's a lot of real estate in our podcast. And also like we could do an abridged version. We could like put it down to 30 seconds, but it's like, what the, like, you, if you're listening to this, you probably know, because like also not just our friendship, but also like people who listen to this generally know those things about us. So the dishwasher just was like, hurry up,
there's a monster in there.
So let's get it pumping. Question number 1, I'll ask it to you.
Okay.
Given the choice of anyone in the world, whom would you want as a dinner guest?
I'm going to have you guess what my answer is because I think it's actually pretty obvious.
Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that's on my Hinge profile as well. So if anyone has seen me on the Hinge, then they would know that too.
And if you listen to Albums of Our Lives, 2 episodes before this, or 3, I think. Then you know that Marissa loves Joni Mitchell. Yeah,
it's funny because I literally just said, like, we might not know this about each other. But then as you were reading it, I was like, you would know this about me. I've said it before and I'll say it again. She wrote what I believe is the most beautiful and well-written album of our time, of all time, called Blue. And she just has like the most ridiculous genius musical brain. And I would love to ask her some questions, see where her head was at. I'd want to just like, instead of eating dinner with her, I'd like to just like sit next to her, play the album, and have her like talk the whole time of like, this is why I decided to do this. This is what this song means.
And don't you wish she did like the Spotify commentary?
Yes. Oh my God. Absolutely. So she would be my no-brainer answer.
I just changed my answer.
Oh.
From what I originally did with the person who I did this.
Who is yours? So who is your dinner guest?
I just decided I'm going to do Shonda Rhimes.
Ooh.
Because she's written my favorite TV shows. And so I've read her book. And so I feel like I could totally geek out with her about like the characters she's written about. And also like she as a person, I think is like so talented, and just from her book like seems like so sweet and down to earth. And like I love the way she talks about herself and how she had to, like, her whole book is called Year of Yes, and I love how she talks about pushing herself into saying yes and, you know, balancing work and children and just like the life that she, and like her family and the life that she has, I just think is really interesting. And I feel like I could get like a lot of good like mentor advice from it, and it would be really fun because I'd be like, do you know that you used this song at the during the scene where Christina came back? And oh my gosh, I would totally geek out over it.
Who was your answer before?
Michelle Obama.
Okay.
Because I love Michelle Obama, but everyone says Michelle Obama. And the thing is,
everyone who's smart says Michelle Obama.
Yeah, and I love the Obamas, and I love Michelle, and her new podcast is great, and everyone should go listen to it based on the one full episode she has. And I still would love to have dinner with her, of course, because what I think is so cool about Michelle is how like cool she is, like despite, you know, being someone who was in this huge position of power and being the first lady of the United States and being a mother and being years older than I am, she just has this like both maternal and sweet natured thing, but also this really like cool,
fun.
like hip, like
Yeah,
I'm
she's
in
so fun.
vibe. Like I love her sense of humor. Like
Yeah.
just hearing her talk to Barack in the podcast, like you
Yeah.
get to see glimpses of like her humor where she's like, "Oh, come on." And I'm like, "Yes, girl.
I
All
know.
right." So I would love to have, my dream would be like me, my mom, and Michelle.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like if the question was like, which famous person would you want at your next girls' night or something?
Yeah,
like
totally
that
Michelle.
would be her for sure.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we've seen her in a couple of like in the Becoming documentary and in like other stuff I've seen. You see her in a room with like a group of girls.
Yeah.
Where she's like encouraging them to like talk about.
It makes me cry.
I know, like she's so encouraging and wants them to talk about like their future, but also is like really jokey with them and it's fun. So I feel like having like our group of friends and like our moms sitting and like drinking wine and having Michelle Obama over would be amazing.
I know. And like in her book, she talks about how she felt really pressured to like check boxes in like her career and in her personal life, and how Barack was so the opposite of that and really led with his gut and like made career moves based on where he felt called to. Like when he like started doing like community work, and part of his job was literally like walk around and talk to people in the community. And she talks about how she felt this strong need to like go out and like make things happen, partially for her but a lot because of her family. And I think that's really interesting, and I would love to like talk to her about like my own career and like my own sort of like thoughts like, because I identify with that. I identify with this idea that like at a certain place, like if you check enough boxes you'll feel fulfilled or something. And I really valued the way that she talked about that, like in her book and in the podcast. Number 2.
Okay. Would you like to be famous? In what way?
No. So for no way. I guess, okay, when I was younger, yes, I wanted to be famous for singing. And I think I have this like feeling of wanting to be recognized, not like on the street, but like wanting to feel like my like work is recognized, or my talent is recognized. Yeah. But I don't want fame, because that sounds scary. Like there are certain people who are like mid-tier famous, like I guess not even like influencers, because they're like pretty famous now, some of them, but like sort of like those more mid-tier influencers, it's like they have a following, so they have like people who are like, you know, chatting. Like I like the idea of having a community that I'm like a part of. I like the idea of like having like, not, it's not about like followers, but like I always feel envious of like people who on social media can like put out like the question box and people ask them like really interesting questions, and they have like conversations with all different kinds of people. I think that sounds really fun and cool. And I think that's like the part of being like famous in quotes that I would enjoy, is feeling like there are people out there who are like, I get you, and you're like, yes. And also feeling like that validation in whatever it is that you're famous for, like your work or whatever. But I don't want to be famous because I think it would be really anxiety inducing for me. Would you want to be famous? And if so, what for?
I would want to be very, very mildly famous, like similar to what you were saying. Like I think my ideal would be to be a singer, like a musician, an artist who had enough of a following to not have to like work a part-time job or like do anything else, but not be recognized in the street. I feel like that's like the happy medium, because like
that would be great.
Yeah, because like as soon as you become universally recognizable, you lose your normalcy completely. So I would want to be able to like be like the Hannah Montana and like turn it on when I want to, like you know, go play a show and be surrounded by fans who know me and like have that validation, but then be able to like go home and like go to the grocery store and like
I
have
completely
no one know.
Agree. That's actually my like total ideal, but I guess I read the question as like either or. But like you're so right, like mild fame. Is there a person that you're thinking of?
Sometimes I feel like I've answered this question before, and I've said Ingrid Michaelson is an ideal, but
that's
even
what I was thinking of.
Even she is like maybe a little too much for me, but I feel like she's the type that like if you know her and love her, you're like a great fan and you like, you know, she has a lot of people at her shows. It's not like she's struggling to like stay afloat as a musician. Like she's doing fine.
Yeah.
But I don't think she has trouble really like going out on the street.
Yeah.
So yeah, she would be a good little mild level of fame.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I would like that.
Yeah.
Before making a telephone call, do you ever rehearse what you're going to say? Why?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
This is something I've heard is common for introverted people that like we hate phone calls even more sometimes than in-person conversations. And I really don't know what it is about it. It's just like a very physical feeling of stress that's like I'm going to get on the phone and not know what to say. And then I think maybe the thing is like when you're in person and you feel awkward or you lose your train of thought or you don't know what to say, you can kind of communicate non-verbally and like giggle to show you're uncomfortable or like smile or like something like that. But when you're on the phone, you can't do any of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually, when I first started interning at Pearson in summer of 2018, I used to have to make a lot more phone calls than I do now because I would be reaching out to people to get permission for stuff and I'd have to say like, usually it would be like a follow-up to an email. So I would say like, I emailed you last week. Or I'd say like, this is Marissa Bracker calling from Pearson Education. I sent you an email last week and figured I'd call to follow up because I haven't heard from you. But I always got so nervous for those phone calls that I would like literally type out a script.
Yeah.
In my computer. Like I would type it and then I would read it on the phone and that would make me feel better. So yeah, totally.
Got the system down.
Yeah. What
so
about
usually
you?
it's for work or like for like more official phone calls.
Yeah, I think it's like phone calls with a purpose.
Okay.
Which tend to be like the only phone calls that I really do have, except for like with my mom.
Right. And those are just sort of like casual, like, oh, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like if I were to call you, like for some reason, if we were people who like instead of voice memos, we like actually called each other.
Yeah.
And I would be like, oh, like, what are you up to? What's new? Or like.
Yeah, because I guess like if you don't expect the call, you can't prepare what to say anyway. But actually, like the couple times that I've had friends like schedule a FaceTime or a phone call with me to like catch up, I have actually thought of like what I could say. So I think that's more it. Like when I know it's coming, I think about it and I prepare. But obviously if I don't, I can't prepare.
I remember my brother, like growing up, he wouldn't even want to call like to get the pizza delivered.
Yeah.
Like it was like pulling teeth.
And
I was like, what the frick? I'll do it.
Yeah. It took me until like within like the last couple of years to like be okay with doing that kind of stuff.
That's so funny.
Like I specifically remember, and you're probably going to think this is ridiculous, but when we went to Salem with our friends last fall, we were having trouble parking.
Oh yeah.
And so I Googled like parking garages near us, and I think somebody was like, oh, you should call and like ask if they have spots. And so on the outside I was like, okay, and I did it and it was fine. But on the inside I was like, okay, like I'm gonna call and someone's gonna answer and I'm gonna have to say, do you have any parking? Like I had to think about it in my head. Yeah. But I was proud of myself afterwards because I was just like, that wasn't bad. I just did it. And no one knew that I was stressed about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, now I feel like I'm fine. I can do it.
Good.
What about you?
I do okay, so part of my job as a journalist is to call people and talk to them. So I literally have to prepare questions. So that's an area where I would definitely prepare. And if I'm calling like a doctor's office to make an appointment, I'll sort of be like, okay, like what are my ideal dates for, an appointment, or like if I say I'm like feeling sick or there's something bothering me and that's why I'm making the appointment, Like I'm not just making a routine one. I'm like, okay, how do I explain this in a way that makes sense? Like things like that.
Yeah.
I'll like think through before I call. But or like, if I'm phoning in an order, I'll be like, okay, what order makes the most sense to say this? Like what's the thing that I'm going to forget? Like, have you ever like been ordering at a drive-through for multiple people or something? Like, or like even like my dad and I were like going through a Dunkin' Donuts drive-through recently, and I had to like say my order to him like 3 times because I was like a small cold brew with milk, and he was like, cold brew? What is cold brew? And so then like so like we get up to the window and he like orders his first because he's like, I know I can do that. Like we didn't talk about this, but like you kind of like will order yours first, or if you feel like it'll be easier for you, you like memorize the other one and you say that, and then you're just like, oh wait, I now have to order mine. So I don't know, I feel like I do tend to think about like orders of things if it comes to like, getting a prescription refill. It's like, oh, I got to know my date of birth, and then I've got to say this, and then I've got to say that.
I feel like that's what makes phone calls stressful, because it's like if you lose the purpose, or you forget a part of it, or like forget to mention something or whatever, then you would need to like call back and do it all over again. Whereas like when you're texting somebody, like say you text someone your coffee order and they say, okay, got it, and you realize right away you forgot something, you just text it really quickly. But if you hang up on the phone call and you realize you forgot something, you then need to like call again. So okay, next one is, what would constitute a perfect day for you?
So it would be waking up like mid-morning, maybe like 9 o'clock, something like that. Having like a hearty breakfast that sort of like fuels me, so that I don't have to worry about like eating throughout the day. Like I obviously want to eat throughout the day, but like having something that like can keep me going for a few hours. And then I want to get a really yummy coffee. And I would like to have like a balance. I'd like to have a balance of sort of like nature and indoors, because I get tired sort of easily. Or not like easily, but like I guess I'm thinking about summer right now. Mm-hmm. So I guess my ideal day really would be like September-ish weather, where it's sort of like warm but sort of starting to be fall. But when I think about summer, I'm like, well, it needs to have a balance of like going indoors, because the heat like zaps me. But I think it would be doing something like shopping, but like at like interesting places. Like I loved when we went to Providence and we were able to go in some little shops, and you just like find cute little things, and maybe you get like a little like decoration for your room, or you buy someone a gift. Like I love that. And then like doing something outside, like maybe it's going to the beach, maybe it's like sitting at a park and like walking around sipping your coffee. I love to have like a yummy dinner that I'm going to look forward to. Like if we're going to like a place that we all like or something, it's also involving like my best friends. Everyone else in my life is having a good day. Like my mom is texting me a photo of Penny, and I know that they're good. Brother and dad are doing fine. Everyone's good. And then like after dinner, everyone's like, this has been such a great day, let's keep it going. And so then like we come back to the apartment, we throw on a movie, and maybe we have like some yummy snacks and dessert, or some wine, or like just like something like relaxing. We put on a movie and we're all like, this movie is so funny, or this movie is so, I love like I love having my people around me, having sort of a balance of indoor, outdoor, a balance of like more like stimulating activities, and then more like chill activities. I think that's how I would describe it. And having good food throughout.
I like this day.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
What about you?
My perfect day, first of all, would be sweater weather. Mm-hmm. Like I would want to be wearing like sweater weather, but not like coat weather. So like not freezing cold, but like fall.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I can't wait to wear my crew neck collection again.
Like no jacket, just like sweater and jeans.
Yes.
Or yoga pants.
Yes. I think I would love to like have the morning to myself. So like wake up early, just like be slow to get ready, get a coffee, like watch some YouTube, watch some TV, just like in my room, like have the morning. And this would like defy geography, but like I would like to be able to just like go meet my mom for lunch and like have some her time, and then come back and do friend time, but have it be, I would like to like take a walk to an area. Like I love
Love a good walk to an area.
so I've had people on dating apps ask me like, what do you miss? Like what sorts of activities do you miss? And I usually say something
I
like
miss
that.
walking
I
to areas.
usually say like picking an area and like walking around it. So like say like our friends were to meet up and we all were to like take a walk to like, I don't know, Coolidge Corner or like downtown or whatever. And then just like
area to walk to.
Yeah, just like pick an area and then like go around like the shops and stuff, and like similar to yours, just like have a dinner plan, go somewhere we like, some good vegetarian food. And then we would go to the store and get a bunch of desserts. And then bring them back to the apartment, and then we'd be like homebound for the night.
Our perfect days would mesh very well together.
Yeah.
We could literally have a perfect day today. Actually, no, we can't. It's too late. It's too late. Maybe tomorrow.
It's too late. Yeah, I just like the idea of like designated like alone time, and then like social time, and then like the end of the day is still social time, but it's at home. So like you're already home, you're already near your bed. Everyone else leaves eventually, but you're already home. You don't need to worry about like getting back home or traveling or whatever. Yeah, totally. That would be. And we're eating desserts.
Yeah, my other, like, if we were talking like out of the realm of normal perfect day, it would be like being on a tropical beach somewhere and like scuba diving and like seeing all the sea creatures and being like, whoa, look at the turtles, whoa, look at the sharks, whoa, look at the coral, like in like turquoisey clear water, and then like lounging on the beach all day and getting some sort of frozen cocktail and drinking tons of water and being with the love of my life. Like I'm like a tropical day. Sorry. Or with my friends. And the love of my life. No,
Best of all.
And there's like a swim up bar. I've never I hear that swim up bars exist and that you can get them in like Punta Cana. What the fuck is that place? Punta Cana. Punta Cana, yeah, I know. But I like the idea of like you're punting a cana. Yeah, I would love to experience. I've never been on a tropical vacation. I've never been somewhere tropical. Well, that's not true. I guess I've been to like Florida, but that's not like what I'm thinking of. Like I'm thinking like Fiji. I'm thinking like Bahamas. I'm thinking like Bermuda. I'm thinking like. Anyway,
I think that mine, if it was like out of the ordinary, would be we go to New York. We go to Chelsea Market.
That is not out of the ordinary. We've done it.
I love Chelsea Market. We go there, and then
this is so interesting to me because for so long New York was not in your ideal at all.
I know. I think I really needed to like experience it by myself because it was never my idea ever. Like it was always like someone else wanted to go. Actually, that's not true. When it was my Sweet 16, I wanted to go see Wicked in New York City. But like with friends, it was always like, oh, do you want to go visit so and so, or go do this in New York City? And I'd be like, yeah. But like going on the work trip and having to come up with my own ideas to entertain myself really changed my perspective on the city and like made it feel just more accessible to me and like part of my life. But yeah, I would go to Chelsea Market and then we'd have a concert that night. We'd be going to see someone in concert and we'd be staying in the city, so we wouldn't need to worry about getting back home or anything like that.
Yeah. And on my real perfect day, I would be able to teleport too.
Yeah, that's legit. That is very legit.
But that's like otherworldly.
Okay. When did you last sing to yourself? To someone else?
I love when they add like a second sentence, but with a question.
I know, it's hard to like verbalize.
It's awkward.
The grammar.
It gives me secondhand embarrassment, or maybe firsthand, because I guess I would be the one reading it. I sang to myself this morning because I was singing too. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry.
Lit.
I put on
Nice.
I sent a Banks song to someone, and they texted me and said, "This song destroyed me." I said, "Good." It's meant to destroy you. No. But and like whenever I send someone a song or I tell someone about a song and they tell me they are going to listen to it, I then listen to it because I'm like, okay, I want to see what I sent you that evoked certain feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So I was listening to If We Were Made of Water and then just like some of the album as I was like, you just dribbled your coffee. You need to get that away from your shorts. You don't want it on your shorts. Or is it just dribbled coffee all down her shirt? Oh, no.
I needed to compose myself enough to swallow. It's okay.
I think you missed your shorts. But you got it on your shirt, but your shirt's black, so it's fine.
It's okay.
Perfect day.
I'm baby.
Can't
take me anywhere.
What was I talking about? Oh, so I was singing. I just, like, had that on as I was, like, getting ready, and then I sang it, and then I sang to someone else right now as I just sang to you.
An honor.
I don't remember what I sang to you all. Oh, the 36 questions, something like that. So there you go.
I last sang to myself on Friday night when you were out.
I heard you singing TikTok.
I was singing TikTok?
I heard you singing along with your TikToks this morning.
Oh, really?
You were sitting on the couch waiting for me, and I thought you put on music to sing to while you were waiting for me. And then I realized you were listening to TikTok, or you were watching TikTok, but you were like singing to them.
I don't think I did that consciously. Because I don't
We
remember.
could say that was for me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so to myself, I think you were out on Friday night, and I was really like nervous about like singing when other people can hear me.
I do too.
I like wait until I'm alone, and then but it brings back funny memories of like when I was in high school, I would get home earlier than my parents would. Do I still have coffee on me?
You have coffee on your knees.
I have coffee on my knees.
Just your knee, actually. Just one knee.
Well,
there you go.
Extra moisture from my dry knees.
Well, your sandal tan is crazy.
I know, it's wicked bad.
Can you see mine?
Not on that foot, but I can see it on the other foot because of the way the lighting is. Because the sun is shining on that.
But yours is funky because of like the way your sandals are.
Mine is so bad.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I got home like, I don't know, like up to an hour earlier than my parents did or something. And I remember I would like use that time to practice my singing when I was home alone. But sometimes my dad would come home early. And it was always awkward when like I could always hear him come in, so I would immediately stop. But like I knew he could hear me when he came in. But I wouldn't want to talk about it. Like sometimes he'd be like, "That sounded good, pal." And I'd be like, "No, it didn't.
Leave me out.
No one was singing."
You're like, "No, it didn't, Dad." And like goes in your room and shuts your door.
Yeah, he's like,
your door.
He's like, "You have a beautiful voice. That was fantastic." I'm
no,
like,
I don't. Yeah, I used to love. Do you remember that? Like my ceiling in my living room was like 12 feet high or something like that, or 15 feet high.
The echo.
Yeah, I used to love singing in there. I used to go in there and sing in there after school. I loved that. And I used to like walk up and down my house because my house had a very open floor plan. So I would just sort of like pace and like try out like certain songs that like I remember learning Skinny Love, doing that because I always thought that was such it is a challenging song to sing, the Birdie version. I actually don't remember the Bonnie
Skinny
Bear
Love
version
of Bonnie Bear fame, folks. He did not just miraculously appear for Taylor Swift's album.
So true. Come on, Skinny Love. It's high. It's hard.
And yeah, I'll say to someone else was apparently to you this morning when I was singing along to TikToks. Oh God, TikTok really keeps me going. Okay. If you were able to live to the age of 90 and retain either the mind or body of a 30-year-old for there's so many numbers. for the last 60 years of your life, which would you want? Okay. If you could live to the age of 90 and you could have either the mind of a 30-year-old or the body of a 30-year-old for your last 60 years, which would it be?
This is really easy for me. Do you already have a...
No, because I'm stupid and I'm still trying to understand the question.
That's stupid. Okay, so this is easy for me. I would choose the mind of a 30-year-old because imagine like if you're 90 years old, because it says when you're 90, right?
Yep.
And you have the body of a 30-year-old, but you mentally are not all there. Like, say you have like some dementia, or you're just like, you're forgetful because you're 90 years old.
Yeah.
But you have the body of a 30-year-old, so people are like treating you like a 30-year-old and like hitting on you like a 30-year-old and like expecting 30-year-old things of you, but you mentally weird. Aren't there. That weird. Sounds like terrible. But if you're 90 years old and you are like you have the body of a 9-year-old, but you're like sharp as a whip. Is that what?
Sharp as a tack?
Sharp as a tack. Why did I say? Okay.
That could be a thing.
If
too.
You're like, whipped as a whistle. No, and whistle. What is that? Fit as a whistle? What? Okay,
something
what is
like that? I say sharp as a tack, but
sharp as a tack. You know, you're with it. You remember all your grandkids' names. You remember everything. Like I think that sounds great. Although I guess maybe the reason that this question is supposed to be difficult is that it's saying like you feel really youthful, like and mentally you don't feel like ready to go yet, but you have a body that's sort of deteriorating. But I feel like it's from the age of 30 to 90 because it says the last 60 years.
That's what's tough for me. I'm like, does that mean that like
basically you don't age beyond 30 either mentally or physically?
But it doesn't mean that if you choose to stay youthful mentally, you all of a sudden are saggy and old. Like you would just age, your body would just be normal.
It would just age normally.
Then I would definitely choose. But the only thing that gives me pause is that like I think it would be ideal to like not really know what's happening when I die.
Yeah, that is the one thing that's like, that's what I mean when I say like I think it's supposed to be hard because it's like if you feel like if you feel youthful and you feel like sharp and you feel, you know, whatever, but your body isn't matching up to that, I imagine that would be very frustrating to have your body be deteriorating and keeping you from doing things, but mentally you're wanting to do them.
Yeah, and just like if you're still aware of like your family and like the point in life that your grandchildren are at, like I think it would just be really sad to die with the knowledge of like everything that you're not gonna be able to see.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately I would still choose the mental one because I'm just not like, I think that people who love like outdoor activities and like going on adventures and stuff would choose the body one in a heartbeat because they would want to like continue to like go skiing and go camping and go running and like all these things that like fulfill them in like a physical way. But I don't really feel fulfilled by physical things, so I wouldn't care if my body deteriorated.
Yeah, I guess it just, I guess the other thing is that it's some older people are like super mentally sound. Like they don't lose some of those faculties until like really, really later in life, or like, you know, when they're sort of on their deathbed, I guess, you know, those last few weeks or something like that. So I guess like the idea of being someone who throughout age can still be like mentally really with it and like have memories and all those things sounds great to me. But I'm imagining like the 30-year-old body one is not like just being like physically able to do things, but looking 30. And I'm like, that would be weird to me to look 30 years old and like have people again like react to me as if I'm 30 years old. But like mentally you're like knocking on death's door. Like, and you're like, you don't remember a lot. I don't know.
Well, going off of death.
Yeah, enough of this.
Well, not quite, because the next question is, do you have a secret hunch about how you will die?
I'll let you answer first because I answered the last one first.
I think that I'm probably going to get like a disease of some sort.
Sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing. It's just like I just love. No, sorry, I don't love anything about that. But I think.
But I think it
just
makes sense
how
for
like
me.
yeah,
I just
average American.
well, because like I don't think it will be because of anything I do. Like I don't think it'll be like, obviously like I don't smoke, so I'm not gonna like get lung cancer or whatever. I don't know. Like I don't think it'll be like my fault or anything, or something physical where like it's an accident because I went and did some crazy hiking thing. Like it won't be anything like that. It'll just be like the universe throwing something at me and saying it's my time.
Yeah, I feel the same way because I've told you before. Like I don't feel like I'm anything like special. Like I tend not to think that like I'm going to like get murdered, not in a way that's like, oh, I don't have to worry about my own safety, like I'm not like a dummy. Like I know a lot of young people feel invincible. It's not that. It's that I tend to just be like, oh, I'm so average, like it's like I'm probably just gonna like die of old age or die of like some sort of disease. The only other hunch I've gotten is that I will die in a mass shooting, just because of the times.
I honestly think that for me depends on the news cycle. Like and it's unfortunate that the news cycle is this way, that like sometimes we are focused on gun violence and sometimes we forget about it. But when it's like the hot topic on everyone's minds, I'm the same way. Like I'm like, that could happen.
I've also just had like 2 incidences where it felt too close to home. And because of that have felt like one of these times, what if it's not just close to home, but it's home?
It's home.
Like the time in Florida and the time in high school. I just feel like could be. Hopefully not, though. Name 3 things you and your partner appear to have in common. Should we skip this one, or do we just do it?
We could rattle them off, I guess.
3 things we know we have in common.
But let's just do it together.
Okay.
So together, just name 3 things we know we have in common.
Okay.
The first one is the role that music plays in our lives. I think that's something we've covered a lot on the podcast.
Go listen to Albums of Our Lives. Episode 10?
9 or 10,
I think.
Or,
True.
Yep. So that's number 1.
Sensitivity. Both very sensitive. In slightly different ways, and our reactions are not always the exact same, but we're both people who like are self-described sensitive. And it's like also something that people like would bring up to us. Like my family was always like, you're so sensitive.
Yeah, we're criers.
That too. Yeah. That's like part of being sensitive.
Third, I would say like lifestyle. Like we're not in any way like partiers, like want to get blasted and stay up all night. Like
like neither one of us are like, I don't think we've ever been the type to like drink to get drunk or like seek out like substances, and we are both like pretty homebodies, and like our preferred way to like have a good time is similar, like, and it doesn't involve a lot of outside factors. We don't need a ton of people, we don't need
stimulation, I guess.
So true.
That was too easy. How many more should we do? Because I don't know.
I think we can finish up the first set.
Okay.
We're a little past an hour. We're like 1:08.
Okay. For what in your life do you feel most grateful?
For me, it's friends who have become family.
Aww. Yeah. For me, I think it's like twofold. It's like on one side, it's my ability to be alone. But on the flip side, it's the fact that I have people in my life who accept that about me. So I'm able to like still have friends, but also still have my alone time.
Yeah.
Because I think that some people might be introverted and not have anyone who understands that, and have people being like, you're not being a good friend, you need to be out all the time with us, and that could be really frustrating. So I'm glad that I'm able to like keep both parts of my life at the same time.
Yeah, totally.
If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be?
This was easy for me. I wish that my parents instilled more financial savviness in me. I wish I had a better understanding of not like the value of a dollar, because like that's like I get it. But like I wish that they, as soon as I started making money, were like, here's how you should save it, or like, let's, maybe not as soon as I started making money for this next thing, but like when I, was getting student loans, let's set you up with a financial advisor, or like, you know, here's how you could get into stocks if you want to do that. Like I wish I had parents who like instilled like financial savviness in me and like taught me how to think about money in a way that I know I don't feel like I have the skills to think about it now. Like I feel like I need to like reach out for outside help in order to do the right things with my money right now. And that stresses me out because I always feel like time is passing me by and other people are doing things smarter than I am. And I really want to like set myself up for the future. So I've expressed to my mom that I would like to see a financial advisor. And that's something that I just haven't done because of like COVID, because I started really expressing that desire back in like this spring, after like this last tax season. I made like an error that cost me a little bit of money on my taxes this past season, and it got me really thinking about how I would like to feel more financially secure and feel really knowledgeable about my money. And then COVID happened, so it hasn't felt like a huge priority to like go sit down with someone, but that is something I would like to do. And I wish that was some way. I wish I was raised a little bit differently when it comes to money. What about you?
I wish I was raised with more comfort with things going wrong. Like my mom is like very, just like everything is thought out and planned and stuck to, and like she's very cautious, and just like everything's a very like controlled environment. Like I feel like I grew up in a controlled environment where it was like rare for things to like really go wrong. Like the only things that went wrong were things that really were out of my control or my family's control. My mom is actually calling me right now,
Oh
which is weird.
She knows.
She knows I'm talking about how she raised me. Yeah, because I just feel like it's hard for me to accept when things like don't go as planned or are like out of my control, or I can't fully plan out everything. So I feel like if I was raised a little more like casually, I guess, then I would be better about that. Not that my mom was like strict or like super controlling in a way that made me feel like stifled as a kid. I just felt very like comfortable. Like everything was planned and everything like was, all the dots were in a row. So now as an adult, if my dots aren't in a row, I don't know how to handle it.
Do you feel like your parents like shielded you from, like, when you say you felt comfortable, like obviously it's like you're talking specifically about feeling like things are very planned out and you always had an idea of where things were going. But do you feel like they also shielded you from anything going like wrong, like anything that was going wrong they just didn't tell you about?
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's something my parents, I sometimes feel like didn't do enough. Like I feel like I was aware too much of certain things going on that weren't great, and so I don't think it like had a huge impact on like me feeling one way or the other about like needing to plan things out. But I do feel like it made me, I don't know, it just made me feel more like, oh yeah, like every family is like this, every family has like a thing or whatever. Whereas I have known people that are like, something comes up with their parents as they're an adult and they're like, what the hell, I never knew that they felt this way, or I never knew that this was going on. And I've always been like when my parents got divorced, I wasn't surprised, kind of thing. So that's where that question's coming from. Do you feel like they shielded you from things?
Yeah, I feel like they just didn't know how to talk about certain things. So it wasn't just like, oh, we're talking about this with each other, but not telling Marissa. It was more like they didn't even know how to talk about it with each other. So like you have to do that first before you like tell your kid. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just even like my like if we were like going to like a wedding or something, my mom would do what I do now, which is like she'd be like, okay, we need to like get ready by this time, and it needs to be like 10 minutes early so we have wiggle room, and then we need to like be in the car at this time, and then like account for this extra traffic time or whatever, instead of just being like, oh yeah, like, you know, if we're late, it's okay, like whatever. I was just like raised on a plan. So now I feel like I always need to have one. We're skipping life story, right? Okay. So the last one in this set is, if you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one quality or ability, what would it be?
Mine would be ability to play any instrument in the world. Boom, done. I was originally, I was thinking like ability to know Spanish. Yeah. But then like when I asked our friend Maddie about this, she was like, ability to know any language in the world. And then I was like, wait, you can do that? Yeah. She was like, this is the like, yeah, it's like anything. The question says anything. And so then I was like, well, because I was toying between a few things. At first I was like, I want to know graphic design, like drop of a hat. And then I was like, wait, no, I think I want to know language. And then I was like, because that would be hard to learn. And then I was like, wait, I want to learn guitar. And then I was like, maybe piano though. And then when she said that, I was like, okay, I'm going to choose to learn every instrument in the world. Because I think it was so gratifying to wake up and just like be able to pick up any instrument and just like know how to play it.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
That is really cool.
But those other two were strong contenders.
Yeah, the language one is really cool. I feel like it's hard right now because like I'm not thinking of like abilities that could help me like interact with the world, because I'm not really interacting that much with the world. Like I think the language one is awesome because like if you would want to travel or you're just like around all these diverse people or whatever, like it would give you like a really cool gateway to
imagine your resume. If you could speak any language.
And
I
also
would be
like
the
your
best
friend
journalist
group
in the world.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm not, so.
It would just be so much more like enriching to like be able to talk to all those different people.
Yeah.
But the first thing that came to my mind, and this answer is stupid and I feel like I'm going to regret it, but I would like to have a really great metabolism.
Okay.
Because
quality.
I'd like to be able to eat whatever I want.
Okay. Okay.
Like,
I feel like you could even hone that in and just say like ability to eat whatever I want without feeling any repercussions from it.
Yeah.
Like not only like weight, but also just like not getting the shits or like
and not feeling like grossly full or anything. Like I want to be able to like go to a restaurant. Well, this would also involve like having endless amounts of money, but I
love how much we love food.
I'd want to be able to like go to all these restaurants and like try all these different things and just like,
and it's just bottomless.
Just not even think about it. Like this is like too deep maybe, but like food for me has always been attached to like repercussions.
Same.
Like it's always about like, oh, this is gonna like make me feel bloated, or like, oh, this is gonna make me feel not confident or whatever.
Yeah. Totally agree.
But I think it would be so great if food could just truly be like joyful and exciting. And
yeah. How many times do I mention that I hate that the Cheesecake Factory puts the calories on the menu?
Yeah.
How many times do I have to say it?
Yeah, it's so yeah, I would just love to just be able to try everything and not even think twice about it.
Yeah, I have a lot of, I think it's like shame associated with food. It's a tricky thing. Go back and listen to our what was it, episode 3 on body confidence,
something like that.
Go back and listen to that to hear us talk about our relationships with food.
Yeah, but again, I feel like if I thought about it more, I would come up with something like more enriching for my life. But right now I think I have food on the brain.
That's fair though, like, because you're not just talking about like weight, like that's only everything. One component of food. There's also like just a feeling of being like, oh, is this going to like hurt my body, or is this going to make me feel sick, or is this going to like be too acidic and I'm going to like feel like
yeah.
gross.
And especially since going vegetarian, I've never thought so much about if my body was getting what it needed. Like I think like every day I'm like, I probably didn't have enough protein today. Or like if I had lunch and it didn't have protein in it, I'll be like, oh, I need to make sure I have protein with dinner. And I just like, I never thought about that before. But yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the end of our first set.
Yeah. All right. This has been fun. I feel like I did learn some things.
Yeah. Yeah, because again, they're questions that we wouldn't just be sitting around asking each other casually.
Yeah, like I feel like for some of them I knew like I'm not surprised, for example, about like the way like you just talked about food and how it affects you, but I am surprised that was like your gut reaction, that like that's the first thing that came to mind, even though I knew about how you felt about food.
Yeah.
So I feel like in that way it just taught me like what's on your mind right now and like what your priorities are right now. So that's always interesting. Let us know if you would like to hear us do this again, but with the second set of questions, and then there's also a third set. We might just do it anyway, but like maybe we'll space them out. We have a few other episode ideas that I think we would want to do sooner rather than later. So we might space them out, but if you really want to hear it, let us know.
Yeah. Hope you guys have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That's so abrupt.
I feel like that was like Teletubby bye.
I feel like usually it takes us like a million years. We're like, yeah, and also this, and also this, and also this,
and as always,
bye.
Yeah.
But this time we were just like, yep, bye.
Well, we appreciate. You want me to get long about it? We appreciate all your support. All right, everyone, have a good week.
Thanks for listening.
Smoochy smooch.
Bye.
Bye.